New this morning, as we said, the top Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee, Dick Durbin, is demanding the Justice Department release all recordings and transcripts from the meetings between Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and convicted Epstein conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell. Senator Durbin is also demanding the Justice Department make the commitment that Maxwell will not receive a pardon, something that the president has refused to rule out.
Well, I'm allowed to give her a pardon, but nobody's approached me with it. Nobody's asked me about it. It's in the news about that aspect of it, but right now it would be inappropriate to talk about it.
All right, with us now, Republican strategist Neil Chatterjee and CNN political commentator Karen Finney. And Karen, at a certain point, when the president keeps on refusing to rule out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell, one might assume that he's not ruling out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yes, when he keeps saying, we know that kind of language from him, right? People say, I can do it. Used that before. And this is part of the reason that this story isn't going away. If he were able to definitively say there will be no pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell, then, that at least branch of this story, which has so many branches, would be at least shut down.
And Neil, part of the place where this story lives is in the world of podcasts and among supporters of President Trump, where he made active outreach in the campaign. Now, Joe Rogan is certainly much more mainstream than some of the more niche podcasters and conspiracy theorists out there. But Joe Rogan is wildly popular, one of the most popular podcasts in the country. Joe Rogan endorsed President Trump before this most recent election. And listen to what Joe Rogan is now saying when discussing the Epstein issue.
When we thought Trump was going to come in and a lot of things are going to be resolved, we're going to drain the swamp, we're going to figure everything out. And when you have this one hardcore line in the sand that everybody had been talking about forever, and then they're trying to gaslight you on that.
When you have Joe Rogan talking about the Epstein case as a line in the sand and gaslighting, what does that tell you about where this story is and where it's going?
Yeah, look, there's a reason, as Karen pointed out, this isn't going away. This isn't Democrats or the media driving this. This is a huge component of the president's base that has been key to supporting him throughout the last decade, that is frustrated by the way that the administration is handling this. And I got to tell you, speaking of frustration, as a Republican, I'm feeling pretty good about the first 6 months of the Trump presidency, of wins on the economy, on trade, on tax, in the foreign policy sphere. And yet they're unable in this moment to head into the summer recess taking credit for all of the regulatory, legislative, and administrative successes. They're totally caught up in this issue because it's a bad story. Look, let's just be honest. Like, this is not a good story. It's one the president's base is animated about, but average Americans are also animated about this. And the administration, quite frankly, has managed this very poorly, and it continues to live on.
Hey, let me just ask you both this straight up. And Neil, first to you. What's hard about saying no to the question of, are you going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell?
I don't get it.
And Karen, you do communications, as for a living. Just talk to me about the communications aspect of that. It's a question that he's ready for.
100%. But again, it's that what it says to me is he's not ready to say no. Maybe in his mind, he thinks keeping that open maybe keeps her on the hook for whatever it is that she's discussing with Todd Blanche. And I wanted to say, I think it's really important what Senator Durbin did, because again, Blanche, go and talk to her. That opens up a whole new branch of the tree of questions, right? Because now we're wondering, what did they talk about? Was she promised a pardon? What was in the boxes? What kind of information could she be offering? So that's the problem with this story for the White House. They keep, and really it's Trump, to be perfectly frank, he keeps, sort of creating more questions, like he did yesterday by volunteering that there was a dispute over an employee. Well, the one employee that we know worked for him and then was with Jeffrey Epstein is Virginia Giuffre. So is that who he's talking about? So again, that just opens up a whole new line of questioning.
Now I want to turn to President Trump's legal team because they're actually pushing ahead with a lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal. They want to depose owner Rupert Murdoch within the next 15 days. Trump's lawyer asked a judge Monday to let them depose the 94-year-old media mogul because of his advanced age. They argue he would likely be unavailable for a trial. Trump is suing Murdoch and the Wall Street Journal's parent company for a recent report dealing with a birthday card Trump allegedly sent Jeffrey Epstein featuring Trump's name and an outline of a naked woman. Trump has denied ever sending such a note or even doing such a drawing.
I don't do drawings. Sometimes people say, would you draw a building? And I'll draw 4 lines and a little roof, for a charity stuff. But I'm not a drawing person. I don't do drawings of women, that I can tell you. They say there's a drawing of a woman, and I don't do drawings of women.
Okay, group chat is back. Sorry, I couldn't let you escape without talking about this story somehow. 2 things are going on here. One is him going up against Murdoch. Just because you're in that world of media, Jonah, is that notable?
Rupert Murdoch and Donald Trump have always had a frenemy kind of relationship.
Okay.
And I think this is one of these examples of Trump just being profoundly pissed off by something.
Well, he's had a good run against news organizations.
And that's the thing. It's like, I think it's a profoundly stupid lawsuit. I mean, on a really fundamental level. But so was the CBS one, and they paid out, right? So, like, if people are going to cave, why not keep going? And also, it sends a signal to other media organizations: don't join the feeding frenzy on the Epstein thing, or you could get a lawsuit too.
Can I just say,
yeah, go ahead.
I think agree on all that. I think the fascinating element of this is Rupert Murdoch doesn't have any license that he needs right now that's up for debate. He's not in the middle of an M&A or in an acquisition or trying to sell off anything. So that's one component of this. Also, particularly in the wake of some of the things after the Smartmatic issues that they were dealing with after January 6th and the president, if you think this story was posted with the president making direct threats to Emma Tucker, making direct threats to Rupert Murdoch, making direct threats across up and down the legal department of the Wall Street Journal without being completely locked up on the back end. I mean, most people don't understand journalism. That's a problem at some level about the lawyers and how this actually all works.
For you, which they wouldn't have gone to publish unless they thought they had the goods.
Exactly.
Okay. And also, I want to say, do we even need the Murdochs of the world for this story? If you look at someone like Joe Rogan, huge audience who's out there saying, why should we let this go? You're gaslighting us.
Huger audience. Like, that's where most eyeballs are at these days. And I go to Jonah's point, this is personal for him. Like, he's just mad and he's just lashing out. That's why, on top of all of that, going, oh, and by the way, America, he's really old. We should do it right now before he dies. His words, not mine, because he's just angry. But the new media piece of this is the biggest point.
Yeah, I actually think we have this clip. I want to show it just because he has a massive, audience of independent voters.
When we thought Trump was going to come in and a lot of things are going to be resolved,
Yeah.
we're going to drain the swamp, we're going to figure everything out. And when you have this one hardcore line in the sand that everybody had been talking about forever, and then they're trying to gaslight you on that.
This was part of an extensive discussion, but you can hear a lot in there. The one hard line in the sand, this is the drain the swamp. It's a lot wrapped up in that comment.
This piece, Theo Bond, Andrew Schultz, all these boys have millions of people. This is his problem with the Epstein thing. It's not us talking about it. It's not even Rupert Murdoch. It's his base and folks that the Republicans need to motivate to show up in an off-year election, which is the real problem.